I was told to record, so I think we're recording now. As for the rest of everybody out there in the ether, Zoom land, I'm gonna stop the video because I tend to move a lot and yeah, it's just easier probably to stop the video for you. So we're gonna get started. The presentation today is Lord of the Files, A Journey Through Records Management. So I've got a little script. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we embark on a journey not through the rolling hills of Middle-earth or the perilous paths of Mordor, but through the equally fascinating and sometimes treacherous terrain of records management. Much like our epic quest undertaken by Frodo Baggins and his companions in The Lord of the Rings, our mission is in the realm of records is of the utmost importance. The world of Middle-earth and the fate of entire civilizations rested upon the fate or the responsible handling of the One Ring, a powerful artifact with potential to bring both good and immense harm to people. In our modern organization, we are going to use the equivalent of the One Ring as our records. So our records are the precious. How we manage these records can determine the success and the longevity of UT Tyler. So, just as Frodo had the guidance of Gandalf and the loyalty of Samwise and the support of the Fellowship, we too have a team, policies, tools to aid us on our quest. Our goal is to safeguard the history and the knowledge of our organization, ensuring remains accessible, accurate, and secure. Throughout this presentation, I'm going to draw parallels between records management and Lord of the Rings. So fasten your seatbelts and ready your minds, for we are about to embark on an epic journey filled with insights and knowledge guided by the wisdom of Tolkien's masterpiece. Let's begin our own Lord of the Records quest, where we too have the power to shape the destiny of our organization. So what we're going to discuss today, and this is going to be our map to Mordor and the Mountain Tomb. We are going to do an introduction to records management. So just a quick run through of what records management is, what a record is, and how to treat those. Then we're going to talk about specifically records management at UT Tyler, and then we're going to go into some helpful tips. So these are our goals. Our goals today are to unveil the mystery of records. We're going to talk about what a record is and how it's supposed to be held, discover the power of records management. So we are going to understand what records management is and why it's crucial to UT Tyler and beyond. Navigate the land of UT Tyler RM practices, so gain comprehensive knowledge of what specifically to do and when specifically to do it. And unearth the secrets of documentation. So documentation secrets, what you need in order to fulfill your duties as records managers or records creators. Then we're going to give you tips and support. So find your fellowship with us for records management. Okay, so first thing that we need to do is take this in little bites. So we're going to talk about what is a record. So the Texas State Library and Archives, oops, I'm sorry. I wanted to get it all there. Backspace, there we go. So what is a record? So TSLAC, which is Texas State Library and Archives Commission, defines a state record as any written, photographic, machine readable, or other recorded information created or received by or on behalf of a state agency or elected state official that documents activities in the conduct of state business or the use of public resources. So this doesn't include library museum materials that are made for convenience copies, extra copies of recorded information, again, convenience copies, stock publications, or blank forms. So this does not mean that stuff. Now, what is a record really? So Samwise says a record really documents the transaction of university business. It is created and received by a UT Tyler employee or official. It may exist on any medium. So this is the kicker. If you create a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet that holds information that is critical to your department, that is a record. It doesn't matter if it's electronic or not, it's still a record. Is a record whether it is open or closed, so whether it has private information or doesn't hold private information, it's still a record. Anything that is created at UTT or UT Tyler at the during the course of business, regular business, is a record. So it is important to remember that not every document is a record. It is important to distinguish between master copies, master records, and convenience copies. So a master record is an official final record, while a convenience copy is a copy of that final record. So it is created for reference or research or, just to have handy. Master records are the only records that should be retained. Convenience copies should be properly destroyed as soon as possible. So, whereas departments should also determine which vital records they are retaining and which are unnecessary. So, say you have an outdated form that has been through several iterations of life, and you are finally getting rid of it completely, and then starting with a DocuSign document. That is still a record, but it can be disposed of now after the right retention period. We'll get into that. Okay, so introduction to records management. So now that we've gone through records, we're going to go through actual records management and what that means. So records management is the systematic control of records over their lifetime. And you can see on the slide on the right hand, this is the life cycle of a record. So it goes, you create the record, you distribute the record, it goes into active storage where it is utilized by different people. Then it goes to inactive storage and retention. And then from there it goes disposition to disposition. Now disposition is a blanket term that covers transfer to archives and also disposal. So that's a tricky one to remember, but disposition means final resting place after a record is inactive and met its retention period. Disposition can mean moving the records to permanent storage in physical plant, or destruction via shredding, deleting, or sending it to the university archives. A retention period is the amount of time records are held. This is the minimum time allowed for our organization to keep these records without getting into any kind of legal trouble or anything else. Okay, so retention periods can be found in the retention schedule, records retention schedule, and we will get that. We will get to that. So life cycle of the record in Lord of the Rings terms. So creation is the Shire. It is idyllic, it is calm, it is peaceful, pastoral, all that, you get it. 2 is going to be your active storage, or your distribution, your distribution, where you distribute your document to your fellowship, right? Your department or whoever, right? Then Rivendell is going to be your safe haven. It's going to be your active storage where you're just keeping it to make sure that you can document it and you can see it correctly, or as many times as you need. Then we get to inactive storage. We are on the way to Mount Doom. Okay, we are on the way to Mordor. We are on the way to disposing the records in the cracks of Mount Doom, right? So journey to Mount Doom, then we throw it into the crack when we need to, or it goes to Minas Tirith. I can never pronounce that name right. Tirith, thank you. Minas Tirith, the archives in Minas Tirith. So It either goes to one or two places, the cracks of doom or the archives, right? Okay. So now we're going to talk about the records retention schedule. So you heard me mention the records retention schedule. It is extremely important. It is your map to Mordor. It is your map to Mount Doom. So this is going to tell you, it's going to tell you what to get rid of, when to get rid of it. So a records retention schedule is the establishment of written standards and laws for the retention and disposal of records, disposition of records. Considerations are given to legal, fiscal, administrative, and historical value of records before establishing the retention periods and prescribing disposition methods. So this is Texas. So records retention schedules, there are general records retention schedules that come down from TSLAC, Texas State Library and Archives. And this is one of them. This is actually the university records retention schedule. And this, you can see it's sectioned into categories, but you've got your key codes right here. So if it's an I or an O or an R or an A, it goes to the archives after its disposition. AC means after close, so after the record is no longer needed or it's done, it's completed, it's expired. AV means as long as it's administrative valuable, you can keep it. So if there's a code AV for a form or policies and procedures, says AV, then you can keep it as long as it's administratively valuable. CE, calendar year end. So December 31st, fiscal year end, August 31st. Life of asset. So it's retained as long as the asset has life. So if we no longer have a tractor, for instance, those records are no longer needed. Therefore, the life of the asset, it's gone. We throw it away. Or we don't throw it away. We disposition. Permanent records. So permanent records have historical value and they need to come to either us or need to be held permanently by the department who makes them. So those records are extremely important for the longevity of the institution and for the history of the institution. So US is until superseded. This one's not seen very much, but it can. This is where one document is replaced by another. So until superseded. Here are some lists of terms. We're not going to go into all of these, but this would be excellent to go through on your own if you need to. Quick note, a record series is a group of records within this honking document right here. So a record series is just that line that you see, right? That category. So the records retention series or records retention schedule is broken into categories of records. These categories are then given a retention period, a record series number ID, and any kind of legal information that you need to know about. And it also gives you a record series description as well. So you know what to find, when to find it. So the easiest way to deal with this is to, well, first off, I do strongly recommend that everyone takes a look at the records retention schedule at least once. Just go through it and just see what's on there, see how to learn the language and everything else and the codes. Then once you get to your inventory, your records inventory, or anything else that you want to do like disposition, then you can go in here and search for your records. So we'll do a Control F search. What is your number one record, Chris?
Accreditation.
Accreditation. So accreditation. Oh, I spelled accreditation wrong. That's one. But it's going to be in section 17.2. But you're also going to pull up everything that has accreditation in it. So subject files, student certification, anything that has accreditation in the title, which is everything, yes. But from here, it makes it easy to just be like, okay, no, and then go through. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. So accreditation has its own section. Yeah, its own section. But for this, you know, it's easy just to do a Control F search. So you also notice that the codes are down here at the bottom for you. We are in the midst of recertifying our records retention schedule. So there will be a brand new records retention schedule, hopefully in January. So they're working on that right now. So we'll see how the end product works. But anyway, so there will be a new records retention schedule and new forms. Everyone just, this is just an overview kind of for us. So that is the records retention schedule, or one of them. Our records retention schedule. Come on. That link's not working. Our records retention schedule looks like this. So it is a little bit different. It's still got the codes up top. You've still got your agency item number, your series record number, and your series title. So you can still find things in this. It's just going to be a better version, newer, updated later on. So this is the one that you can use until January. So that is the records retention schedule. So what is the records retention schedule? What's the goals of the records retention schedule? Maintenance of records while active and off, or in the office while active. So they help you do an inventory and guide you through what to keep, what to get rid of. Storage of inactive records, which must be temporarily retained after they are no longer needed by their department. So that inactive storage period that we were talking about, that they need to stay with the department until their retention period is full. Prompt disposition of inactive records whose record retention period has ended. So keeping records just in case after their retention period is dangerous. So if this is a problem. This is a real problem. So if you have convenience copies of say an HR document, right? That master should have gone to HR, but if you retain that file or that form from in a separate instance, when the master copy is up for destruction, the convenience copy now becomes the master record. So you see the problem with FOIA requests and Freedom of Information Act requests. If somebody has that record, it's still up for legal grabs. So just get rid of your stuff in a timely manner. That's all. That's, that solves it. So, and also to preserve the records that have permanent value. So those are the objectives of the records retention schedule. Don't be Gollum. If you are holding on to something that is just because for your, personal reasons or convenience or whatever, make sure that number one, nobody else has another copy of it, or number two, that you're destroying it when the retention period ends. So now we're going to look at some of the required documents for records management. So we looked at the records retention schedule. This is the disposition log. So you will be able to find this disposition log. See through the bar. So this is the records management site. And all you have to do to get here is type in UT Tyler records retention. If you need to, contact me, I'll send you the link. But this has a link to the records retention schedule, but it also has on this side, record storage and disposal policies. So this is the instructions for how to get rid of records, how to make them go to physical plant or shredding, but also that's not forms and training. So this is where you're going to be able to get your disposition forms, your box labels, and there's even a training module, which is outdated and I don't recommend it, but it's there. So disposition form, this is the current disposition form. What you'll do is you will fill this out and then send it to me, the records manager. And I will look it over, see if anything, I might have some questions about things. And then once you get approval, then you can put in a work order and it goes to physical plant, or, you know, I can review them to come to the archives. So that's the disposition form. Dispositions, storage labels. So you also will get to your storage labels there too. But these have to be filled out and actually put on the boxes before they go over to physical plant for either storage or shredding. So make sure that you're filling these out completely and that the boxes are in 1 foot bigger boxes, because it makes it easier to transport and store. So that's that. So why do we have a records retention program? We have a records retention program for fiscal and financial reasons, accountability, which is a big thing in government work, especially. We've also got administrative functionality. So how does our administration function if computers go down, if, you know, electricity is out, all that stuff. Legal reasons, for obvious, you know, reasons. We are an institution that is run by the government, so there is reasons why for that. Historical value, so anything that can help somebody else later on figure out the history of our organization. So who is responsible for managing records at UT Tyler? In short, we all are. So if you create a record, you are pretty much responsible for it and the disposition of that record. The ultimate responsibility for orderly maintenance and disposition of university records lies in the hand of the department that the records belong to. So if you create a record for your department and your department has that record, that is their master copy, that is their record, right? So the department is responsible for disposition of that record. Okay. Each department will fill out their own records disposition logs, send an electronic copy to the university archivist and records management for approval before final disposition occurs, and then keep a finalized copy in the department. So you've got a record, we've got a record, right? Okay, just like in Middle Earth, there is a hierarchy to records management. So the first is going to be the state. The state passes down all of the records retention schedules and legal obligations and rules for us. The university then creates the records retention policy for the organization, records retention or records management policies and procedures. and then University Archives. The department designates a records management coordinator, so somebody like an administrative assistant who is deeply engaged in the records, can also be in charge of the inventory and disposition of those records. So, and then from there, it goes to the individual. If you create a record and it is for education purposes, classes, anything like that, it's still a record. It is still your responsibility. It's just not on a departmental level. So, benefits of records management. So, of course, you're going to have more space, right? Administrative efficiency. So, you're going to be able to find stuff quicker if you know where it is. Keeping sensitive materials private. So, understanding that some things do not need to, be out in the ether. Accountability. It gives everybody a sense of accountability and what they're supposed to be doing, so historically saving valuable materials for the future. So that is why we have a records retention. Notes on electronic records. We got into this a little bit, but I want to reiterate. First and foremost, electronic records are still very much subject to the records retention schedule. All records of the records retention schedule are classified by type and function of a record, not by media. So it doesn't matter what they're on, it's still a record. Electronic records should be categorized by type and function as well. Okay, so archiving and storage. So every record goes through two basic storage. So it's going to go through your active storage, which we've talked about, which is where it is in office and being actively used. Inactive storage, where it maybe is moved to a storage area and nobody really references it anymore. After this inactive storage, then has passed and you've gotten into your over your retention period. It is the responsibility of each department to identify these records, group them, label them, pack them in proper boxes, and send them to storage or the archives. So, if you have any questions about any of all this, please contact me. Like before anything, just contact me. But after it goes to the archives, then you get Gandalf in there, who can actually read and have a second life for those documents historically. Workflow for disposition. Again, records inventory. Conduct a records inventory every year to see what records need to be dispositioned. If a record requires disposition, fill out a disposition form, send it to the records manager or university archivist. Upon approval, put in a work order for the transfer to physical plant or to the archives. So, tips for success. Yay! Read through the retention schedule at least once. This helps a lot. Remember, this is your map to Mount Doom final disposition, right? Remember that the records retention period and disposal requirements are the same whether it's electronic or physical. All our records supporting documents should be kept with the original document for its remainder of its retention period. So this means like purchase orders that were made through grant funds need to stay with the grant file, right? Be careful with contracts. Contracts are tricky. There are two different retention periods on or before August 2015. A little more. Some documents may not be in the records retention schedule. If this is the case, that means that it needs to be held indefinitely. So if there's not a category for it, please let me know that you have a record that does not have a category record series, and I will figure it out. Also, remember that you are not alone. When in doubt, call anybody, me, for help, really and truly. Now, now that we have gone through all of that, in conclusion, managing records within our organization is not unlike the epic journey undertaken in Lord of the Rings. Like Frodo and his companions, we must embark on a quest to safeguard valuable information, protect it against the forces of chaos, and endure a prosperous future. Much like the ring, our records can be powerful tools, but they carry the potential for misuse and destruction if not managed properly. We must be the guardians of our own records, ensuring that we do not fall into the wrong hands or become lost in the wilderness of disorganization. As we strive to be Frodos of records management, let us remember the wisdom of Tolkien. Even the smallest person can change the course of the future. By diligently following practices and adhering to our records management principles, we can protect our organization, maintain order, and enable growth. So just as Frodo found strength in his companions and the power of the fellowship, we too have the support knowledge of within our organization to succeed. Let us embrace this mission, working together as a team to ensure that our records remain safe, accessible, and valuable in the future. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of records management. Together, we can be the heroes of our own story, safeguarding our organization's history and ensuring a brighter future. If you have any questions or need further assistance, please reach out to me. May your records always be well managed, and may your past be free of the pitfalls of the files as we strive for the excellence of the race. Okay, now I'm going to open it up to questions. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, Christine. Okay. Christine?
Yes.
Hello. Are there
Hello.
any questions?
I haven't seen any come in on the chat, just some thank yous.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think you can stop the recording now if you want.
Oh, okay. All right. Stop recording.